out with this mat. Can you see that? Kind of. Okay. We're going to start with this mat, the one that's just divided into two places. And with the smaller blocks. Okay, mine's in a bag, yours are all in boxes. But this basic mat, this is divided into two parts. It has a negative side and a positive side. So we can deal with positive and negative numbers. The blocks are divided up like this. We have the little green ones, right? This would just be a number, so like a unit block, a 1. So that would be worth 1. The yellow little rods are x's. So this is going to be 1x. Okay, the yellow squares is not any fixed amount of x's. So for example, if I put 3 on here, it's not quite big enough. So this isn't like 3x or something. This is actually, they're both, it has a height and a width of x. So this is x squared. Alright? So we have the rods are x, the little squares are x squared, and then the orange ones are y's. So this would be a y, and this would be a y squared. And these are the ones we're going to work with right now, okay? So, let's see. With this sentence, or the basic math, sorry. Basically, let's just start this way. I'm going to put a number on here. I hope you can kind of see these. They're not actually overhead ones, but you can tell what size they are, right? So this is an x, and the little cube ones are 1s. So for example, well, let's just start with this. What would that be? What number would that be?
-2.
-2, okay. And what about that?
-1.
-1, right? Because these are neutral. This is a neutral pair. Okay, good. So what if I do something like this? What is that? Is it 3x or 3 plus x? Good, 3 plus x. Because I have 1x and 3 1s. Now if I put this down, what is that?
3x.
That's 3x, because I have 3 of those x's. Perfect. Alright, what if I do something like that? Can you tell me what that is?
So you have 1, -1, 2x.
We have a neutral
2x
pair
minus
right
1.
here, right? So what's left over? We have a 2x minus 1. Good. Alright, so that's how you use the basic mat. We can kind of demonstrate things. So now, we can also use this basic mat if we're trying to add things. So let's do just a basic example. Maybe we want to do 2x plus 3 plus 3x minus 1. So go ahead and try that out in your groups on your own mat, and I'll go ahead and put the answer up here, okay?
So 2 and then 3.
Actually, a second thought. When one of you is done, you can come up here and do it, alright? Anybody have the answer? Okay, you want to come up here and show us how you did it? Okay, so there's the 2x, and is that a minus 3? Good, okay. Uh-huh. Good, so you just look at what's left over, right? So what she did was she first put everything on there, right? And you can kind of separate them maybe. Say, all right, here's my first group, and here's my second group. And then we know we have to add them. So she looked at the neutral pairs. Says, okay, that's 0, right? So we don't have to worry about it. And we just look at what's left over, which is 5x plus 2. All right, any questions about how to do that with the basic math? Okay, let's do one more, this time a subtraction one, using the takeaway model. Let's go for y, so go ahead and break out your y rods. Plus 2x minus 1 minus okay. Go ahead and do that problem in your groups, and as soon as somebody has it, you can come on up and show us how you did it. Okay, I have the first one up here. I have the minuet. So if somebody wants to come up and show us their process of how they got the answer.
And then you have to add. No, but we have to add the 3 to make the
What did you guys
yeah,
think
we have
about
to add 3 on that side.
-1 minus 3? Added them. Okay.
Anybody got it? Okay. Well, first off, what's the answer? Okay. What? Minus 4. Okay. Anybody willing to come up here and model how they did it with their group? That's supposed to be y. Anybody have a clue, or you want me to show you?
Just show us.
All right. All right. The next one, somebody needs to come up. All right. Here's how it works. So this is the first part, right? The minuend. And we need to take away the subtrahend. Well, first off, I can say, all right, well, I can take away 3y. I know how to do that. Right? So far, so good. Now it says I need to take away 3 positives. Well, I don't have any units on the positive side. So let's call this a legal move. I can make neutral pairs, right? Because that's just adding 0. So I need 3 of those on the positive side, so I'm going to go ahead and make 3 neutral pairs, just putting 1 on each side. Okay? So far, so good. And now I have 3 positives that I can take away. So my answer is 1y, 2x so far. So a positive y, positive 2x, and negative 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that make sense to everyone how I got that? So it's just a matter of creating those neutral pairs until you have what you need to do the subtraction. Okay, let's go ahead and do one more. Let's see. Let's do... Okay, remember which ones are your x squareds? And then, sorry, this is your y squared and this is your x squared. Okay, we're going to use those in this one. So let's do, let's see. Let's do a 3x squared plus 2x minus 5. Okay, minus x squared minus 4x plus 2. So go ahead and do that one. Everybody model on your basic mat, and then somebody needs to come here and show me what they get. Using the takeaway model like we did with this one, okay?
Oh, yeah.
So add, we need to add 4 on this one, right? Okay, yeah. So then we take away. Yeah, then we take away the, and then we need to take away 2 neutral pairs. So we need one more positive.
Wait, it's negative 5 plus 1, 2,
2 of the positives, right?
Oh, minus.
Oh, it's a minus.
Okay, wait, so we have 3x squared.
Anybody got it?
We did, but we took away the 2x. That's a subtraction.
We just take away 1. Right, 1, yeah.
Oh, 1. Yeah, sorry. Wow.
So then, we have 2x minus 4x, so we should have 2x over here.
We did. Well, we
Yeah,
had
anybody willing to come up
positive,
and show what their group did?
because we had a positive 2x, but then we like added these 4.
It was
Okay.
minus negative.
Come on up.
Yeah, we had no negatives. Now we took away these. We're left with 6 positive.
And then 2, we have 2
Let's
as a
take away
negative.
2 positives. Now we take away 2 positives.
Okay.
2x.
And then what we did was we subtracted these. And then we added 4 x's.
Do you need a keyboard?
Yeah.
How many do you need?
That's good. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's negative 7.
Alright.
Positive 6x. And 2x squared.
Alright, so this is what they got. You got a, what was the final answer there? Is that 2x squared? 7? Did you get 7x? 6x. Let me count. Looks like we have a positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6x. And up here we've got 7, right? Yes. 6x. And that's a minus 7 because it's on the negative side. Okay, so explain to us why you added 4 on the positive side.
Because you're subtracting negative 4x. So 2 negatives make a positive.
Okay, so you used a rule here, right? You said, all right, well, I'm going to distribute this negative. Is that what you did?
Yeah.
So you said negative x, positive 4x, negative 2. Okay, so that's using a rule that we're all familiar with. But your students aren't going to be familiar with that. Did anybody do this a different way? Model it a different way. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go ahead and put back what we had at the beginning, which was this. 2x minus 5, right? Okay, so remember what we did the first time when we had something we couldn't do? So she took off the x squared and said, well, I can take away 1x squared. That's not a problem. Now, I can't take away a negative 4x. I don't have any x's on the negative side. So what do we need to do here? So that I can take something away from the negative side, what do I need to do? Form neutral pairs. So that's why she put those 4 blocks over there, because really what we're doing here is we're forming 4 neutral pairs. And I'm saying I need 4 on this side to take away. So we form 4 neutral pairs, and that's allowed because we're just adding 0, right? 1 on the negative side, 1 on the positive side is just 0. So now that I added those zeros, I do have 4 over here that I can take away. So I'll go ahead and take those off, and that's where you get your 6x. Is that clear? Okay, now I need to take away a 2 from the positive side, but I don't have any 2's over here. So what am I going to do? Form more neutral pairs. Okay, so I'm going to form one neutral pair. And how many do I need to take away? 2, right? So I'll make 2 neutral pairs. And then I need to take away 2 from the positive side. Good. So I'll take those away, and I get that -7, which was in our answer, right? Oh, I forgot the x right there. Okay. So, good. And this is what you're going to want to show your students, because that way they don't need to memorize that rule. Because what's one of the big mistakes that students are going to make when you have to subtract things in parentheses? That's right. They're going to forget to distribute this negative. Okay? So, when she came up, I don't know her name. Anyway, came up and showed us, she distributed that negative, right? She did that step correctly. However, a lot of times students are going to forget to do that because they don't understand why they need to. But you see, if we use this concrete model making neutral pairs, they don't need to know that. They don't need to say, okay, I got to put this negative through on all these signs. I need to change all these signs and then add. They just know, okay, I don't have +2. I need to make neutral pairs until I do, and then they just read off their answer. Okay? So let's go ahead and do this one more time, just so you'll get a chance to practice this making neutral pairs, okay? Let's see. Let's do 4x. Let's do y squared this time. 4y squared plus, let's make that a 4y, -3. So that's our minuend. We're going to subtract 2y squared minus y and plus x and h minus 1. Okay? So go ahead and model that using your y squared, your y's, your x's, and your units.
We don't have enough blocks.
You don't have enough which ones?
We
Don't have 4 y squareds?
Yeah, we only have 4.
Well, it's a takeaway model, so that's okay.
Oh,
4 isn't it? Okay, as soon as your group gets it, somebody can come up and show us how you did it.
Y will minus the negatives. Oh, wait. So we have the, oh, you're right, you're right.
Okay, is there anything throwing you off about this problem?
So, yeah.
Does it make sense? Alright, okay. Anybody figured it out yet?
Like, because there's a random x in there.
Yeah, so we look at this and say, okay, one of these things is not like the others. So we don't have an x up here to take away, right? So it's just going to be the same thing, forming a neutral pair with an x and a negative x so that you can take it away. Is that okay? Okay, somebody want to come up and model it for us? Alright, come on up, thanks. Okay, that's 4y squared right there. Can't really tell on the overhead thing. There's 4 of them. Good. So far we're good, right? This is our minuend.
So we're going to take away 2 out of the y squared.
Good.
We're going to take away
A negative y. Do we have a negative y?
so we have to make a neutral pair.
Good.
So we can take away
And we take away the negative.
And then, since we don't have any x's, we're going to have to make another neutral pair.
Good.
And then take away the positive.
Good. So we're going to make a neutral pair of x's, which we didn't have before, and take away the positive one. Good. And the last one?
And we'll just take away
Perfect. So what's our answer?
2y squared plus 5y
Okay.
minus x minus 2.
Perfect. Anybody have a problem with how we got there? Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Okay. So that's just what you're going to need to figure out, and what you're going to need to show your students is how to make those neutral pairs so that they can solve any kind of this equation, right? Even it may be complicated, it might have x's in there, y's, y squareds, x squareds. It might have a little bit of everything, but forming those neutral pairs, they can figure it out, okay? So I have a question. This one, the shorter one, is an x, right? Well, they're both kind of rods. Why can't I say this is a neutral pair? If this was an x and this one's a y.
Because they're so different.
They're different, right? That would be like saying, you know, this and this are a neutral pair. They always need to be identical. And that's something that you always need to remember and help your students with is like terms, right? So I had a minus x here. Like, well, there's no x's up there. I can't just take x away from 4y. Or I can't take x away from 3. I need to create a neutral pair of x's, right? Good. So just remember that those like terms are really important. And it's going to be a big theme when you're doing algebra with your students. All right, let's go ahead and do the last one, which is the sentences, Matt. So this one we were just dealing with addition and subtraction, right? Here, we're going to be dealing with equations. Or we have one thing equals another, and we're going to try and balance it out. You can't really see it very well on the overhead, but you'll see it on your own mat, so there's a balance going on down here. So this is also called like a balance mat. And the idea is we're going to try and keep these two balanced. So it's kind of like 2 basic mats with an equal sign in the middle. So let's just start really basic and just see if you can kind of figure out what these would be. So like, what is this saying to us? If this is an x rod, these are unit ones. Good. This is x equals negative 2, right? Okay, what about, okay, what is that? Okay, so we see some neutral pairs going on here. So I heard it x equals, that's right, because this is a neutral pair, right? That's just 0. So we have an x equals what?
0.
0, right? Because those are 2 neutral pairs. Okay, so that's x equals 0. What about this? That's a y. Y equals 1. Okay, what if I put 1 over there? Y minus 1 equals 1, right? Good. What if I do something like this? That's an x. Y equals x plus 2. Good. So we just kind of learned to read those off, right? So I could move this down, maybe like negative y equals x plus 2, or negative y equals negative x plus 2. So that's kind of how the sentences mat is going to work. So it works to create equations, algebraic equations, right? All right, so now we're going to talk about what we can do with this sentences mat, because our goal is going to be to try to solve equations for x. So like the first one I gave you was like this, right? X equals negative 2. Well, what happens if it's not so nice? Maybe I have that. So I have, what is that, first off, if we just read it, what does that say to us? Okay, so 2x equals x minus 2, right? Okay, now let's go back to this little balance that we have under here. We always need to keep this mat balanced. So if we do something like this, let's say, well, the idea is we want to just have one x on one side and no x's on the other side. So how would I get rid of an x over here? What would I need to do? Make a neutral pair, right? I need one in the negative. But I can't just do that to one side, so I'm also going to do it over here. Okay? Keeping it balanced. So when we do that, that makes a neutral pair here, also a neutral pair here, right? And what's our answer? Right, which is what we started with. So what we did is we added a negative x, right? To both sides. We kept it balanced. All right, let's do another one. Let's see. Let's go ahead and do. Let's do negative. Okay. Let's just go through this one as a class, and then we'll go ahead and do an example. You can do in groups on your math, all right? So I need an x on the positive part on one side only. What would you do? Well, first off, let's go ahead and read this. What do you think we need to do to that? Need to make neutral pairs. Okay. So how many do I make? So I need 1x up here, right? Okay, so I need to put how many up here? 4. 4? Alright. So let's put 4 up there. But I can't just do that to one side, can I? Okay, so I put 4 up here. I'm running out of blocks, so I'm going to go ahead and recycle those. So I put 4 up here, so I need to do the same thing to both sides, right?
And then you take away 2 on the other side.
Well, we just made 2 neutral pairs, right? So we can take away those. Alright. Well, I still have x's on both sides. Now what?
You make another neutral pair.
Okay. On which side? Right here? So I need to put 1 in the lower, 1 in the lower there. So that makes a neutral pair here. And a neutral pair here. Okay. So now I have an x in the positive, I just have these greens in the way. How do I get rid of those? More neutral pairs, right? Okay. So I'm going to make 4 neutral pairs. Whoops. Put 4 on the negative side, right? So I need to do the same thing to both sides. So I will also put 4 on the negative side over here. And what's our answer? X from here equals negative 4. Does everybody see how we did those steps? Just making neutral pairs until we got x equals something. Everyone okay with that? All right. So I'm going to give you one that's a little bit less complicated. And we'll have you all do it in groups. And when somebody comes up with the answer, they can go ahead and come up, okay? Let's do this. Okay. Go for it.
Try to get x by find out what x is. So,
All right, go for it. You wanna go ahead and explain as you press this while you go?
Okay, I'm making neutral pairs. So those cancel.
Okay.
Those cancel. So then you want to get rid of these. So you put three up there. You get more greens.
Yeah.
3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. So these go away. Can you do that? Those go away. Did I do that right? I don't think I did that right.
Looks like you put 3 in the positive side here and you put them in the negative side over here. So we always need to put them on the same part. If you put 3 in the positive, you need to do it the same thing to the other side. There should be 3 down here and there were 2 over here, is that right?
1.
We'll just say it.
Just like that. That's how it was.
Yes.
Okay, so we want to get rid of these. Fit through here, right? Through here.
Okay.
Take those away.
Good, because we made neutral pairs, right? And what do we end up with?
Negative x equals 1.
Okay, so she got to negative x equals 1. What more would we have to do to make that a positive x?
2.
Put 2 up here, okay. And we need to do that to both sides, oh yeah. On the positive side. Good. Okay, and there's one more step because we just want 1x. So we want to get rid of this one.
So put 1 here. And 1 here.
Good. Look, we have 1x on the positive side. Excellent. And then we just want to get this over here, right? Lots of neutral pairs.
So 1 there, and then I put 1 there.
Uh-huh. And there you go. So we get x equals
Negative 1.
-1. Good.
Yes, it is very, very hard with.
Yeah, if you try first to get your x's on the positive side, it's usually going to go a little bit faster. All right. So let's go ahead and do just one more as a class. You guys shout out the steps to me, all right? We're going to do 2x plus 2 equals 3x minus 2. All right. Hopefully this won't have quite as many steps. So first off, let's try and get 1x on the positive of one of the 2 sides. What do we need to do? Okay, we do need to make neutral pairs where? On this side? Okay. So you want me to do 2 of them? To get rid of 2 of those x's? If I do it over here, I'm going to do it over here as well. Yeah.
Oh, never mind.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're getting rid of the x's on this side, right? So we put 2 down, and we do the same thing over here. So those neutral pairs are just zeros, we can get rid of them. All right, so we have 1x on the positive side already. Now how do we get those units to be on the other side? Okay, where should I put them?
Negatives.
Down here. So I'm going to make 2, right? And I'm going to make 2 over here as well. So, those are neutral pairs. These are also neutral pairs. And what's my answer? X equals 0. All right. Awesome. Does anybody have any questions about how to do this with either the basic math or the sentences math? Is that making sense? All right. We'll just do one more. Okay. And just remember, like Brother Piper told me, he really wants us to remember this part, is that we always need to be concerned with like terms. So when I have 2 x's, I can only make a neutral pair with other x's, right? Or I can only add together other x's. And I can't, so I can say this is 4x, but 4x plus 2, those need to stay separate. Because 4x plus 2 doesn't make 6 something, right? Just like he's been talking about with, tablespoons and teaspoons and cups. You can't add 3 cups and 6 tablespoons to get 9 what, right? So we always need to remember to think in like terms. Let's just do one more of these problems and then we'll let you go. All right. Go ahead and do it with the y's this time. So we'll do 2y. Okay. Go ahead and just solve that one in your groups and shout out when you get the answer. -4. Okay, so let's just run through this real quick. So we want to make a neutral pair, right? We put 1x, there's 2, so we make a neutral pair there, and also a neutral pair there, right? Put 1 in the negative, 1 in the negative on both sides. So now we're just down to, these are actually y's. Y, and then I would need to make neutral pairs to get rid of this 1, right? So I just drop 1 in where?
Negative.
Negative on both sides, right? So that was a really simple one. Awesome. Okay, thanks guys. I didn't get around to using these ones. These are like x cubed, or y cubed, or xxy, yyx, right? But you can use those as well. So everybody will go ahead and make sure those blocks are put away and we'll collect them. Thank you.